folks, welcome back to Rule of Thumb. Today I thought I'd bring you along for a project doing something that I haven't done before, so I thought we'd learn together. Today we're going to can butternut squash. So I am going to refer to this book, which is the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving, on canning pumpkin or winter squash, which is page 393. And I'm going to follow their instructions. So it says wash the pumpkin or squash, cut in half and remove seeds, remove peel or rind and cut flesh into 1-inch cubes. Do not mash or puree. So that's what I'm going to start off doing first. I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm actually peeling mine first and then cutting it because I have a really good peeler. Now, if you don't have a really good peeler, you're going to want to cut it into smaller chunks and then peel off the peel because it is a harder rind. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing. You do what works best for you. So I'll turn you around, show you what I'm working with, and let you see what I'm doing. Okay, we're back. So I have my butternut squash here. These are the peelers that I use. I've seen these in a bunch of different places. I bought them off of like an infomercial on Facebook or something like that. But if I can find a link to them, I'll put the link down below. These things are razor sharp, so you have to be super careful, but they make it very easy. So, I mean, with these, you literally just pull. You know, so you're just pulling, and pulling. Half of them are going to fall on the floor. You want to make sure and get down to just the orange flesh. Okay? So, I mean, it is, with this peeler, it's as simple as this. Now, like I said, if you don't have a super sharp peeler, these are a little bit harder rind, and it's of odd shape, so it's harder to hold on to. So you may want to cut it into smaller, more manageable pieces and then peel. So now I've gotten the long part. I'm just going to do the end here. Okay. And then I'll move around to this side. Make sure you guys can see this side over here. And, you know, when you get to the bell part, it's going to be a little harder, even with a sharp one, because you're working at a, you know, a rounded shape, so it's a little bit harder to get the peeler to cooperate. But patient, you know, just take your time, a little at a time, get all the way through it. And I'm doing this in real time just so you guys can see kind of what the time commitment is. You know, not that you're like, well, how long did it really take to peel those? So, there, that is fully peeled. You can see I've made a disaster on my cutting board here. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this off to the side, and I'll deal with that in a minute. Now, as far as cutting it, you want to cut the slice off of the end so that you've got a flat end there, and then you can also cap the other end just so that you get the, you know, the root end off there. And then I find that with a really sharp knife, you can go down from the top just like that. Okay? So that's what you get. And then I have like a melon baller tool, which I find works really easily. You could also just use a spoon. This just has a little bit sharper edge to it, so it scoops out really well. I have a bowl over here. I am going to save some of my seeds, I think, and possibly try planting them just for fun. I don't know if it'll work or not, but, you know, it's an experiment. So, get all these seeds out. I just wanted to really let you folks see in actual time how much time it takes to do one, and then I'll do the others off to the side. Okay. And there we go. Okay. So now what I do is I take the bell end off, just like that, and then I take a knife and slice this into strips, and then I cut my strips into cubes, which gives me approximately 1-inch cubes. Some may be a little bigger, some may be a little smaller, but pretty close. And then I do the same thing with the bell end. So I'm going to continue to do that. I'm doing 4 butternut squashes, so I will show you how much that yields when I get to the end and let you know where we're going from there. Okay folks, we're back. So this is the finished cut up squash. This is my 59 cup bowl, so that gives you an idea of what 4, I'm going to say small butternut squash, because they weren't very big, but they still yielded a lot of squash, so I'm pretty happy with this. I'm curious to see how many quarts this ends up being. I'm going to can mine in quarts for the 2 of us, so what I'm going to do now is take this is fresh clean water, I'm going to dump this into my pot over here on the stove, and what the book says to do is cover the squash with water in a pan, bring it to a boil on medium heat, and let it boil for 2 minutes. You don't want it to be soft and mushy, you just want it to be heated through. So we're going to get to that point, and then I'll bring you back when we're ready to put this in the jars. Okay folks, we're back. My squash is now boiled for 2 minutes and is hot all the way through, I believe. I have my lids and rings in a pot of hot water over here. In fact, I'll turn that down a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use my little strainer here to pull the cubes out of here and get them right into the jars. This is a fresh, hot, clean jar. See what we can get in here. Alright, now we're going to use my hooky dough here and kind of just see if we can maybe take this out, shake the jar a little. Yeah, see now they've went down a little bit in there. Okay, so then we can get a couple more cubes in here. Sometimes it just needs a little finesse. Okay, so we'll try that. We'll do the same thing, a little shakedown. Now we can kind of do a little tuck here. And then I have my kettle over here making me some hot water. So we're going to go ahead and fill that up to the 1-inch headspace, which is the ring right at the bottom there. And now we'll get in here, make sure we don't have any air bubbles, see if anything shifts down there. Looks like we're pretty full. I don't want to go crazy and try and like jam too much in here. I want them to be full, but I want them to be covered by the water. So I want to make sure everything kind of has its place in here. And I feel pretty good about that. So now I'm going to grab a piece of paper towel. I have some vinegar in my bowl here. I'm going to wipe the ring. Make sure we got a good clean rim. And then I'll grab a lid and a ring. Now, I bought, this is the maiden voyage, I bought stainless steel rings that say that they will not rust or tarnish. So, we're going to see how that works. For those of you that have been here for a while, you know we had a discussion about this last year, whether or not to put vinegar in the water or not, because of cloudy jars and so on and so forth. I'll put a link in here to that video if you guys want to go check it out. I like to use vinegar in my water so that my jars aren't cloudy, but the problem with that is it tarnishes the rings. So I'm going to see if this will solve both problems. But that is perfect jar. You know what? Actually, I take it back. I'm going to back this off, and I am going to add just a touch more water in there because it's not exactly where I want it to be. And this is the reality of canning, folks, is go back and fix it if you can. If there's something that's not exactly the way you want it, go back and fix it. Don't be afraid. You want to get it right. So now I've got the perfect headspace there. I'm going to go ahead and put this in my canner, which has got hot water in it. I'm going to go ahead and fill the rest of my jars, and I'll let you folks know how many I got and bring you back when they're done. Okay, folks, welcome back. So that ended up yielding 7 quarts of squash. The 7th quart wasn't as full as I would have liked it to be, but it was full enough that I could can it. So 4 small squash yielded roughly 7 quarts. So now I have them in my canner, and I have my canner on medium. I'm bringing it up. I'm going to let it vent. Once it gets a steady stream of steam coming out of the vent here, which it's not there yet, I'll let it vent for 10 minutes. Then I'm going to put my weight on, and I will let this come up to, for my Presto, it's 11 pounds on the dial gauge. Once it comes up to 11 pounds, I'm going to start my timer, and because I'm processing quarts, it is going to be 90 minutes. So we'll let these can for 90 minutes, turn it off, let it come down to 0 pressure, completely unpressurized. Then I'll remove the lid, let the lid sit on top of there for another 5 minutes. Then I'll take the jars out and I'll bring you folks back so you can see the final result. Okay, folks, I just wanted to bring you back to show you the finished result here. This is the canned butternut squash. So I want to talk about a couple things here. As you can see, there has definitely been some siphoning. No, I take that back. There's definitely been some loss of headspace. There was very little siphoning. The water was practically crystal clear. So I had to think about why would this be happening? The jars were very clearly filled to 1-inch headspace when they went in the canner. If it's not being siphoned out, then how are we ending up with this kind of diminished headspace the next day? So the best I can come to, or my conclusion on this, is that when the jars start to cool and the porous vegetable inside starts to cool, it sucks up some of the water. So I think that's why they end up with what you can see here is, a little bit of loss in headspace. Now, all of the product is still, for the most part, underwater, and these are definitely canned. They are a solid seal. These have been washed and cleaned already. So, I feel perfectly safe putting them on the shelf. I'm fine with the product itself, but I wanted to talk about it. If any of you guys have questions or concerns or comments or anything, feel free to leave them below. If you've had the similar experience, if you've had a different experience, if you've got a tip or a trick, share it with the group. So I just wanted to bring you folks back so you can see the finished product. Say thank you for watching the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please come back and see us soon. And as always, I hope you had a great day.